Modi did have a conversation with President Trump earlier, and they did talk about, India's what is India's role here and what is India's concerns when it comes to Pakistan. Do you think Donald Trump would put that out to Asim Munir today?
Certainly, Donald Trump might. The problem with Donald Trump is, number one, he doesn't really have a full sense of history. Number two, he's prone to moral equivalence. And number three, he will put other countries' national security below his own desire to win a Nobel Peace Prize. And hence we have rhetoric before the Munir went in to the White House that Donald Trump had said that Asim Munir, Pakistan, was America's best friend, America's friend, this effusive rhetoric, which really is insincere and has no meaning. If Donald Trump doesn't understand that he needs to shred the moral equivalence and call out who is right and who is wrong, the conflicts in the region, be it between Pakistan and India, or more broadly with Israel, Iran, and Pakistan, are going to become much worse before they become better.
Right. Not very often do you see a military chief walking into the White House to meet the president here for a presidential lunch. How do you see all this play out? This is the Republic of Pakistan, but you don't have the prime minister representing Pakistan. In fact, you have the army chief walking in.
Well, first of all, President Trump is enamored with generals. We've known that since his first term. Second of all, it's reality that Asim Munir has more power than the Prime Minister of Pakistan. That's always been the case with the Pakistani military and specifically with the ISI. And so Donald Trump is simply reflecting the reality without the diplomatic polish. But there also may be something more going on here. Remember that after the September 11th attacks, then Deputy Secretary of State Richard Armitage supposedly told Pakistan that if it didn't stop its support for Al-Qaeda, that Pakistan could be subject to even a nuclear attack. Dick Armitage subsequently denied making those statements, but everyone knows he actually did threaten Musharraf. Now, the issue becomes, did Donald Trump tell Asim Munir that his actions risk a covert response which the Pakistanis will not be able to abide, will not like? In effect, is Donald Trump threatening Pakistan in private simply to allow it to save face in public? I wouldn't be surprised if there's some element to that in Donald Trump's decision to meet with Pakistan's army chief rather than with a civilian elected prime minister.
Now, this meeting here today, this lunch meeting here today at the White House, what message is it really putting out or signaling out? And how is China really taking all of this in, considering China is also very close to Pakistan?
Well, perhaps China's chief interest is that much of the oil, at least 44% of it, which comes out through the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, goes to China and Asia. And therefore, if a conflict continues to disrupt supply through the Strait of Hormuz, China is the big loser there, not the United States, not Israel. And so China does have a direct interest in this conflict quieting down. When it comes to Pakistan itself, however, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
With this meeting happening here at the White House today, how do you see China, what kind of a messaging is going out, and how are the Chinese interpreting this whole thing?
Well, what I'll stand with what I said with regard to China. 1, 2, 3. Pakistan is a Chinese proxy, and it would also not surprise me if some messages were being passed not only from Trump to Asim Munir, but if Asim Munir was delivering certain messages to Trump from China at the same time. Pakistan, on one hand, is a terror sponsor. On the other hand, as prickly as Pakistani officials can be about their sovereignty, Pakistan is hardly an independent country anymore. It really is a satrapy, a proxy of China. And so we need to recognize Pakistan in that context as well. Ultimately, I think Pakistan is acting insincerely to further its own interests. Look, Pakistan is a terrorist state. It's scared to death that it's going to be held accountable for its terrorism. Traditionally, what Pakistan tries to do is embrace the United States in some sort of diplomatic partnership, pretend that they are actually on the same page as the United States in order to win immunity and also to gain hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. I wouldn't be surprised to see if that is what Asim Munir is not doing now.
President Trump and the CENTCOM chief have recently declared Pakistan as U.S.'s close ally against tackling international terrorism. But U.S. on the same side has also apparently felicitated Pakistan in getting financial aid from the World Bank and the IMF. How is all this playing out?
Remember that during World War II, Franklin Delano Roosevelt talked about Joseph Stalin as a close ally. This is diplomatic rhetoric. It's not reality. Everyone sees Pakistan for what it is, except perhaps for Donald Trump. So, while Donald Trump and the commander of U.S. Central Command may whisper sweet nothings into Pakistan's ear, it's because they want something from Pakistan. What I'm arguing is that nothing which we could gain from Pakistan is worth the price of having Pakistan as an ally.
Right. Now, you said that, the U.S. is seeking some kind of a gain. What is your impression? What could that gain be?
Well, when it comes to President Trump reaching out to Pakistan against the backdrop of the Israel-Iran conflict, what the United States position is now is that Iran needs to surrender its nuclear program completely. On one hand, this could be a Pakistani interest. I lived in Iran shortly after the 1998 Pakistan nuclear tests, and most Iranians at the time thought those tests were directed at Iran itself. Iran and Pakistan are competitors, even if sometimes they find themselves cooperating. So is it in Pakistan's interest for Iran to give up its nuclear program? Yes. President Trump is probably trying to make that case. If it's in Pakistan's own interest, however, we shouldn't pay Pakistan a single dollar for achieving what's in Pakistan's own interest. At the same time, if Iran's nuclear program is going to be eradicated, it may take infiltration of U.S. forces, special forces, and we may be gaining permission for that. If we are going to truck out Iran's nuclear supplies following the conclusion of hostilities, those supplies need to go somewhere. And so perhaps there's some discussion that Pakistan could receive those supplies. Again, what sounds good in a situation room or a foreign ministry boardroom, conference room, doesn't necessarily make sense in reality. There is no way that Pakistan should be paid for cooperation or should be the recipient of any Iranian nuclear enriched material.